Welcome to the another episode of r/Askreddit. What makes you roll your eyes every time you hear it? When someone is complaining about the word moist. Well, I'm sorry, how else am I supposed to describe this cake? Right? Like, are we supposed to describe it as a nice, wet piece of cake instead? I love how damp this cake is. It's almost perfectly soggy. Whenever you're at a large function for work with a speaker in the morning, and there's this exchange. Speaker, good morning everyone. Everyone, good morning. Speaker, oh, looks like we haven't had our coffee yet. I said good morning everyone. Everyone, good morning. I'm usually quiet every time after the first. When someone says, I'll be ready in 5 minutes, and you know you have time to watch a Lord of the Rings marathon before they're actually ready. I have a friend who keeps abusing this 5-minute ritual so much that I've started to give him a 30-minute advance heads up just so he'll show up on time. I don't think he means anything by it. He's just good at procrastinating. For instance, if we need to meet at 5 for something, I will tell him 4:30. I have a pal who is like this. I do the 30 minutes earlier thing, and it works like a charm. Let's go around the room and share a fun fact about yourself. No, I'm out. In this situation I once just said something like my name is X. There's nothing remarkable about me. I guess I must have been tired, because normally I would pretend to give a Anyway, my professor got kind of upset for me and went into reassuring mode about how wonderful I am, which was so much worse than me just coming up with a dumb fun fact. My husband has fantasized about saying he survived genocide as a fun fact, but so far he hasn't dared. And go. In Facebook posts, where people want to be spammed with info. It's funny when those posts get 0 responses. Ha ha ha, like I'm not doing homework for someone, when they can just Google whatever information they need lol. I need some easy crockpot recipes, and go. No. When people try to use a customer is always right to justify being an unreasonable. My company took it a step farther and have a never say no policy. Wanna get gangbanged? Never say no. The actual word no can be a real trigger to some people, like toddlers and grown adults who have zero emotional self-regulation. When someone posts something political and calls everyone triggered for simply disagreeing with the post, especially when they themselves are clearly upset about your disagreement. Specifically when they use an abundance of laugh cry images to mask the seething anger inside. I was going to join the military, but I'd punch the first sergeant who yelled at me. Sure, kid. Whatever you say. Mine was opposite. I've always had an issue with authority and didn't wanna get my rocked by a DI. Those dudes don't play, and I'm not a I know I'm a little who would probably start crying as soon as I got yelled at. The sound of phone speakers. Whether it's someone taking a call in public on speaker, watching videos or listening to music or podcasts etc. Something about the sound quality or frequencies of phone speakers literally hurts my ears. I'm in my therapist's waiting area a couple weeks ago. Lady and a man come in, she's watching her show on her phone with the volume up super loud. They sit by me. Dude paces around and asked her to turn it down like 5 times because she might be disturbing other people. She practically yells at him, I can't hear it if I turn it down. I was like, damn. I'm so OCD because thing that is not OCD. I wish real OCD was as cute as liking organized cabinets and drawers. My OCD honestly terrifies me with horrible intrusive thoughts every single day. Hearing somebody say things like that is infuriating. Yeah, my ex had OCD and it was crippling. She had to check that her front door was locked after sitting in her car a half-dozen times before she could let herself drive away. And when men call themselves alpha, I knew a guy actually named Alpha way before the whole alpha male nonsense entered public consciousness. He was still teased for having the same name as the robot in Power Rangers when we were kids though. The only more unfortunate name was his twin brother named Beta. They go by Alfie or Alfred and Beto last I heard. But I think I remember hearing Beto or Beta came out as trans within the last couple of years and going by something completely different now. It may have been a joke though, because I found out by being sent a meme from Kung POW enter the fist. Influencer. Unalive. If I don't get sex I'm going to unalive myself. Someone revving their engine. I have to bite my tongue every time to also not yell out wow what a cool guy. But How else am I supposed to keep my box running at red lights? Similar to this, people who are really obnoxious at how loud they can make the bass in their car. Same vibes. When I scroll Reddit for 10 seconds and I see some of the questions people ask. My whole family has abused me and torpedoed my credit, and half of them slept with my ex-wife, and they take turns coming over to my house when I'm not home just to kick my dog. Am I the bad guy if I don't give 100% of my lottery winnings to them? You are the bad guy, OP. I'm brutally honest. No, tact isn't that hard. You're pointlessly being a jerk. Someone described themselves as brutally honest in a group project once, and the quiet kid in the corner said, "Sure, Attila the Hun. Being brutal is definitely a good thing. Let's go around the room and say our name and one fun fact about ourselves." Kill me. Hi, I'm kinda old man, and a fun fact, I was acquitted of murder on a technicality and was never retrieved due to a lack of evidence. Did you do it? You said only one fun fact. Nobody wants to work anymore. Thankfully this started to die down, and I haven't heard it in a while. God, I couldn't stand that one whenever I hear it. Every single generation has this said about them. Examples can be found going back hundreds of years. Similarly, there are records of old people complaining about the youth these days, no respect for their elders, and always goofing off going back to ancient Greece. It's just a personality type that is present in all populations throughout history. I think the reason that old canard of "no one wants to work anymore" was recently broadcast far and wide, because that's just how capitalist media works. It exists to do the bidding of the bosses and discipline the workers. I'm an empath. You mean you have empathy? No, I feel what other people feel. Stfook, as if you did. You old have known. I'm tired of hearing about it, lol. Anyone who has to announce they're an empath is not an empath. This goes double for my ex, who claims to be a super empath. Anyone who announces they're an empath usually means they're going to gaslight you into feeling the way they want you to feel. When I say, I don't want to have children, you're a woman, you'll change your mind in a few years. If my mind is so easily changed on this topic, I really shouldn't commit to raising a child. That's a nice answer. I shall try to see their face next time someone asks. The point is, even if I'm absolutely capable of raising a child, I just don't want it. Kinda makes me want to show on my grave, "Told you I didn't want to have kids." Seems the only way to prove them wrong. LMAO. Latinx. Latinx is bad, but folks is even worse. Folks is already gender neutral. I've seen more people start using Latin, which makes so much more sense. So I hope both of the X versions are on their way out. I really hope this folks stuff doesn't become a thing. It doesn't even make sense. Folk, or Falk, is the English version of Volk, which just means people in German. Like you said, it's already gender neutral. No offense, but add to that I have no filter. I have a joke version of this. I like to start a sentence with "not to get political," and then say something completely non-political. Like, "Not to get political, but these pretzels are delicious." Or the same deal, but a little more risky with saying racist instead of political. X. Not to be racist or anything, but I could really go for a nap. I crack myself up, lol. Anyone responding the right or leftists, or typical Democrat or Republican to things not remotely politically related. Those people are presumptuous pieces of garbage. I can tell you what I had for breakfast without you knowing where I stand on politics. Sadly, this is a trend of the last few years, and it's happening around the world, not just the USA. Oh, 100%. I'm Canadian. It's all liberal or conservative here. Different words, equally annoying. Thoughts and prayers. Gonna hear it a lot today. This comment was how I found out about the news in Maine. Mama Bear and hubby. Also can't stand. It's been a minute. Mama Bear is horrible. Hubby is pretty bad. Hubs is even worse. Woofy is awful too. I agree with all of this. I also hate hearing preggers. These words just do something to part of my brain. I can't explain it. My file is missing. It had to have been erased by the computer. Computers don't operate that way. They saved it somewhere they didn't think to look. 9 times out of 10. The 10th time, they completely forgot to save it. I've seen files disappear before my eyes while working on my company's server. Sounds crazy. Makes me feel crazy. But here we are. IT checks their records. The file never existed, right? Then how did I email it to a client yesterday? And how does this hard copy exist? And why is it showing up in the printer log? Not sure if this is common, but our IT team treats computers as if they are these infallible machines of God. Okay Saint Gigabyte, if they never make a mistake, explain why I'm getting the blue screen of death. People saying do your research. Like, no, Tammy, you're not doing research, and reading a journal article doesn't mean you understand any of it. There are a bunch of covidiots in my town spouting this, and I remember half of them having maternity leave in high school. I hate people who say, do your research when defending something that they definitely saw on a Facebook info meme. God has a plan. I doubt God works in mysterious ways to that. Somebody said that to me at my mother's funeral after she died of cancer. I was not emotionally in a place where I could just humor them. I said, you got that right. I'm absolutely mystified right now. Anytime anyone talks about astrology like it's a real science, that's such a Leo thing to say. You're such an asparagus to comment that. When someone uses literally figuratively. Yes, I know the definition was changed. I don't care. It pisses me off. What is stupid is now you have to say actually literally instead of just using the word as intended. Like seriously, we are so lazy. We abandoned a word because people are morons. I literally died. People who use neurodivergent and single mother as excuses for shameless grifting, bad behavior, lack of manners. This is hard on those to whom these things are truly difficult. I know someone who identifies as neurodivergent. They went out of her way to get a diagnosis as an adult for autism. The results stated they weren't autistic, but did have signs of OCD. They decided that they were still autistic, and then used that to justify their behaviors. It was incredibly frustrating for me. Also, when they say neurodivergent instead of the disorder they have. Like ADHD and OCD are very different illnesses and can't relate to each other at all. This has always annoyed me. Or when they say neurodivergent instead of autistic. Like just say autism, it's not a bad word. Thank you.